All right, sports fans, how's everybody out there doing? William Martin coming at you one more time. Here on YouTube with another edition of the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge Podcast. The start of the 2024 college football season is still about 7 weeks away, but that has not prevented the Mountain West from earning a victory. And I say this because on Monday, the Mountain West announced that TNT Sports has joined on as a television partner to give the league more exposure. Now, the Mountain West already has deals with both CBS and Fox, which each goes through 2026. But this right here is a win for both the league as well as TNT Sports. Now, TNT Sports, they're coming on hard, getting into the college athletic party. You think about it. I mean, TNT Sports just became a partner with the Big East for basketball, and they're also showing several college football playoff games, first round games, through ESPN for the upcoming year. Now, some people might agree with what I'm about to say, and some people might disagree. It's all good. But the Mountain West is now the premier sports conference on the West Coast, and that's clearly by default. I mean, with the breakup of the Pac 12. And this deal right here gives them more solid ground to stand on. Now, terms of this deal have yet to be disclosed, but one can easily assume that the Mountain West deal is not on equal footing with the big boys of college football, okay? But you look at it, it's still another avenue for this league to get revenue, and it's still another avenue for this league to get exposure, and that's the big thing for it. So you look at all of this and you see all of this, and one question is going to be, well, what does this mean for the likes of Oregon State and Washington State? You know, the two teams that were left out from the original Pac 12, the two teams that are still holding out hope of rebuilding the Pac 12. You look at it like this, of course, Oregon State and Washington State, they've got that deal with the Mountain West. They're playing 5 games against Mountain West schools this upcoming year. They're basically de facto football independents, and they have that window for the next 2 years as they look to possibly rebuild the Pac 12. I'll tell you like this, there's several different ways that Oregon State and Washington State could go with this. Conventional wisdom would say, hey, just do a reverse merger, bringing in all 12 of the Mountain West teams into the Pac 12. Or maybe they could look to poach some of the teams from the Mountain West. That remains to be seen. But then from the Mountain West standpoint, will everybody stay happy within that league? And I think at this point, they will, because if you're the Mountain West, if you're the schools in the Mountain West, in my opinion, at least for the next 5 years or so, there's really no place for you to go. Okay, as far as having a seat at the table with one of the top four conferences, the only way that I could see that happening is if you have a scenario where the ACC crumbles, and I think a lot of that is going to be determined as far as what happens with Florida State and Clemson. We've already seen the ACC go out there and try to give themselves some buffers for that by bringing in SMU, Cal, and Stanford. But it's one of those where what if they have defections, more defections than just Florida State and Clemson? Is it a situation where the ACC tries to stay afloat by bringing in some Mountain West schools from the American Athletic Conference? We'd have to wait and see. And all of this, and I'm saying, is hypothetical, but nonetheless, just throwing it out there. But I think for the most part, the Big Ten is not going to be reaching out to a Mountain West school right now. And the same thing can be said about the Big 12 and the SEC. Okay, it's one of those where I think the best course of action, and like I've said before, in regards to the Mountain West, is everybody needs to band together. Everybody needs to work together. And also on top of that, the best way for the Mountain West to go out there and get respect, they've got to go out there and win games against those power conferences. They've got to go out there and consistently get a team into the college football playoff and possibly win a game or two in order to go out there and get respect for their league. And that's the only way that you're going to do it. It's a long shot, but that's the only way that you're going to go out there and do it. And the other thing, like I said before, this is an opportunity if everybody works together for the Mountain West to have some success. Why? Because all of those, the 4 and 5 star kids, they're probably still going to go to the bigger schools. Okay. But some of those 3 star kids that might have gone to a Pac 12 school before, maybe they say, hey, you know what? This is my opportunity to stay on the West Coast and play ball. So if you're the Mountain West, you have an opportunity there. But with that said, it's still going to be tough to maintain your programs because, the money that the bigger schools can throw at some of these coaches. I mean, you just look at it. I know that Oregon State's not a Mountain West school, but just look how they got gutted, once the Pac 12 got destroyed. You look at San Jose State, they just lost their coach to Arizona. And generally, when somebody has success for the most part at a Mountain West school or a lower tier school, the bigger conferences are going to lure them with more money. That's just the nature of the beast. But nonetheless, this is still a golden opportunity for the Mountain West, in my opinion. So you look at Gloria Nevarez, the Mountain West Conference Commissioner, and then you also have Teresa Gold, the Conference Commissioner for the Pac-12. And I think both of these females have done solid jobs. Of course, Teresa Gold in a very quick time to try to help, Oregon State and Washington State have some stability. It's one of those where I think both conference commissioners are working side by side, trying to work with each other and also work to see what the best respective deals are for their respective leagues. And of course, I'm saying respective leagues, even though that Oregon State and Washington State really ain't a league right now. But nonetheless, I still believe long term, what's probably going to happen is we're going to see a merger between Oregon State and Washington State and the Mountain West, whether that be Oregon State and Washington State just simply joining that league or everybody coming in to the Pac 12. It's not going to be the same. Okay. Even if that was the case, if the Mountain West merged into the Pac 12 or Oregon State and Washington State were merged with them, they're not going to be recognized as a power conference. But it's one of those, maybe they could just work together at this point. You see Oregon State and Washington State, they clearly have, their deal with the CW. And, they're trying to work through this, and that's, to their credit. But getting back to the Mountain West, um, you got your deals with CBS and Fox. And of course, most of your games are on the CBS Sports Network as well as FS1 or even FS2. Periodically, you'll get a game on CBS or Fox. But now with True TV and Max, this gives you another opportunity to put your product out there. And that's the name of the game. It's all about exposure and it's all about getting as much revenue as possible for your league. And I think this is what the Mountain West was able to do. And I think it gives them an opportunity going forward. So, like I said, for West Coast athletics, if they can find a way to keep some of those top kids on the West Coast, and if this additional exposure helps them do that, so be it. Like I said, it's a tall task, but let's just see if everybody bands together and works it out. But nonetheless, I do think it's a win for the Mountain West. I think it's a win for TNT Sports as well, because like I said, they're coming on hard, getting onto the college football scene, and I think it helps everybody involved when you have more players at the table that are willing to pay for your product, because clearly what does it do? It drives up the price. And at the end of the day, it's a business. But like I said, again, not to beat a dead horse, a win-win for TNT Sports and also a win-win for the Mountain West. So folks, that is going to wrap it up. And as always, I want to take this time out to thank all of you for tuning into the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. I want to take this time out to thank all of you fine folks out there for tuning in. And if you haven't already, please feel free to subscribe to this channel. Now, if you're on the X, formerly known as Twitter, please feel free to follow me at 300 pounds of sports. And like I always say, if you follow me, it will be my pleasure to follow you right back. There's also the sports discussion group on Facebook at the Sports Depot 365. Now you can check it out, drop a line, and be a part of one of the better sports debating sites going on social media. So, once again, fine folks, my name is William Martin, and I am signing off. I'm saying take care and have yourselves a wonderful day.